As you can see, on par with Raiders of the Lost Ark, Die Hard, and the Bond films, The Nice Guys is an action thriller masterpiece that leaves you on the edge of your seat. And yet it's not, because the film consists of scenes like this. With villains that belong more in Goldmember than in Goldfinger, and over-exaggerated violence littered throughout, Shane Black's The Nice Guys leaves us with major questions related to genre. Does it fall into the action/buddy cop genre, or is it a subversion, a commentary on that genre? We also have an added bonus, Hollywood. What does this edition of the film industry, of the setting, mean for our genre conclusions? And is there a way to reconcile buddy cop with Hollywood? If so, how does it compare to other films that engage with Hollywood? I propose that The Nice Guys borders a genre I coin as Hollywood surrealism, where a film about Hollywood steps into a somewhat surreal, unrealistic realm to comment on the entertainment industry. However, The Nice Guys is a bit more comfortable than other Hollywood surrealist films with its main genre, buddy cop, and in turn tells us a different message about Hollywood than its counterparts. Let's start by talking about how The Nice Guys falls into its respective genre. There are many names you could give to the base genre that it has: the action, buddy cop, cops and robbers. And while they do have distinctions for our purposes, I think it's fine to not put lines between them. So for now, let's use the name of buddy cop. And so I'll quote James Welch in his paper, Action Films, the Serious, the Ironic, and the Postmodern, although it's referenced within a Scott Higgins article in the University of Texas Cinema Journal. He says that action films are products designed by committees of writers and armies of technicians with one goal in mind: building bigger spectacle in order to generate millions of box office dollars. And The Nice Guys certainly fits the bill, from badass gunfights to dazzling explosions to parties at somewhat of a Playboy mansion. There's really no shortage of spectacle. Furthermore, in his article, Violent Genres, Bruce Kaywin argues that cops and robbers film include violence more readily than others. He actually uses body count as a measure of violence. And so when we look at The Nice Guys, which racks up 15 corpses throughout its runtime, it's pretty much on par with like Lethal Weapon. It is a very violent film, which then shows that it's an action buddy cop film. It's pretty clear that this film uses violence and spectacles, right on its forehead. I am an action film. I am a buddy cop film. But what you'll notice in watching The Nice Guys is that the spectacle, the violence, is often so over-exaggerated, so unrealistic, that you're left thinking this is either a really bad film or a really good one. I choose the latter. I think it's a form of satire, of commentary on the genre that it falls into. Bruce Kaywin, who we referenced before, says that often the use of violence indicates a failure of dramatic invention, where nothing more interesting or revealing could be imagined. No scene that would allow a character to grow or fester or do anything more than kill or die. So let's analyze the party fight scene in The Nice Guys to see how the film pushes this concept so far that it actually has to be a subversion of its base genre. I want to start with some context. March and Healy are at an extravagant party hosted by a pornography producer. March's daughter follows them and sneaks her way into the party. And as this tween hangs out with porn stars, no one bats an eye. March also has gotten so drunk that he falls down a hill and, conveniently enough, lands next to a dead body that cues the team into what's happening in the case. It is unrealistic and it is unrealistic, choosing spectacle over narrative. But it's an overplay. It's director Shane Black not taking his initial genre seriously. Then, Healy is recognized by a previous enemy of his related to the case. A brawl breaks out between them, and let me just show you the methods of attack that they use. A whiskey glass, biting, shooting a random person, sending the gun flying into the hot tub, a classic switchblade flick out, a little James Dean action, electric shock, and drowning Healy in the hot tub where the gun conveniently fell from before so that Healy can shoot his enemy through the hot tub. All the while, March thinks his daughter is kidnapped. So we get this moment of, me Ryan Gosling, me get daughter, any way I can, which in this case includes him stealing a car. He eventually crashes the car, since he's really drunk, and it turns out his daughter and the girl they're trying to protect are running through the forest. They've escaped. But the villain almost catches them until he's hit by a truck driving really fast on a dark highway. Convenient, right? Violence and spectacle as a trade-off for narrative. But then we're reminded that this film is actually self-aware at the end of this constant nicotine hit of action, because we get a taste of character depth. Healy is standing over the crippled Blueface who's been hit by the car. Amelia is getting help, and we get this moment.
None of us do.
Healy, there's no one here.
Didn't make it.
This persona of Healy being cold is created, but we also have this naivete from Amelia who's telling him, no, you can be better, and that follows throughout the film. I now want to bring up Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and in general look at how The Nice Guys compares to other films that are a part of this Hollywood surrealism genre. We certainly see similarities between the two films. In the literary magazine The Threepenny Review, Steve Weinberg describes Cliff's killing of the Manson family in Once Upon a Time as an outlandish, cartoonish display of violence that provokes both gasping shock and raucous laughter, which shows it's comparative to the violence that we see in The Nice Guys, although Once Upon a Time is focused on over-exaggerating the Western genre as opposed to buddy cop. Other films that deal with Hollywood movie making and entertainment use dreams to engage with surrealism. For instance, Mulholland Drive and La La Land. All four of these films have some tweak, some shift from realism that's meant to comment on Hollywood itself. But The Nice Guys is a little different. Sure, it's extremely violent, it follows coincidental narrative, it's over-exaggerated, and it has characters that seem to not have any concept of normalcy. But La La Land took place in a musical dream. Mulholland Drive is so dreamlike it has a monster that shows up once in the film. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sees Tarantino rewrite history. The Nice Guys is not like the others. It doesn't mess with the confines of realism as much as its counterparts. But why? What's the purpose? To answer this question, we have to look at the ending of the film versus the ending of the others. The end of La La Land leaves us with a bittersweet longing for love because it was all a dream. That love story cannot exist in Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood ends with Rick Dalton going into Sharon Tate's house for a drink, showing he can't escape alcohol and he can't escape the Hollywood scene that he's wrapped up in. In The Nice Guys, March and Healy do escape. They do escape this world that they've been sucked into. This is confirmed when March creates their joint agency and they take their first case. Not some big shot case that they were just in. It's an old lady in Glendale who thinks her husband is sleeping with Linda Carter. They can find satisfaction in being buddies and in March's family. At core, the film is about people who never should have been in Hollywood in the first place. And that's why it's more comfortable than others, staying true to its respective genre. It shows Hollywood is a strange, materialistic, immoral place by exposing its characters to the world and then removing them from that Hollywood world. The film is actually about friendship, it's about action, and even with some subversions of the genre, it stays a buddy cop film.